this is going to be for the onboarding process internally and externally as well. Okay. So I'm going to start with externally. Now, externally, all we mean is what is the process that we do with our clients. Okay. So there might be things that you know already. There might be things that you don't know already, but I'm going to go into all of the detail that we do for our clients so that you can use the exact same thing. In fact, I onboarded a client today using this process, hence why I whipped up this Miro document, because it kind of just came straight from the dome. So we're going to start with one thing. First of all, someone on this call, and I'm not going to name who, and you know who you are, have been guilty of this, where you start work without having any payment secured, right? It's a rookie mistake. Don't be afraid to say to your client, I'm not starting any work until I get paid, right? They're clients. We're not a charity. So that is number one. Now, once the contract has been signed, if you do run off contract, some people don't, some people do, okay? Cash has been collected. Now, let's break down cash being collected just for the newer guys. If you don't know how to collect cash, you can either do invoice and bank transfer, nice and easy. You can do a payment link, which could be Stripe, Wise, Go Cardless, or any other kind of payment link provider as well. Yes, Mattia.
I was going to ask, if you're like doing a retainer,
Yes.
would you recommend a bank transfer? That way you can avoid setup fees, or does it look a bit unprofessional?
You can do bank transfer, but when it's a retainer, it's quite nice if you do it as a recurring link, right? So sometimes it's better to stomach the fees, and then you can have a recurring link and you don't have to consistently chase payment. But it just depends on how much you're pissing away on fees on a monthly basis. So just be wise on that. Yeah, bank transfers aren't unprofessional. That is true. Cool. And then you could do like ACH or direct debit, right? So that's quite simple to do if you don't know how to do that. I actually have a video on the Capital Framework that shows you exactly how to do that. Now, contract sign-in, you can use PandaDocs. I call PandaDocs the soft CTA because essentially you can attach your Stripe or your payment merchant to PandaDocs. So when they sign, they pay, which is great. DocuSign is a cheaper version. I don't think they've got the payment integration. I don't use DocuSign anymore. But yeah, when I used it, they didn't have payment integration, but DocuSign is a very good one. HelloSign, again, another type of thing. The reason why we do that is if we are going to get clients on a contract, we obviously want it signed so that we know the agreement. Right, let's get into it. So once you have done the cash collection and the contract has been signed, everything is starting to look good. Now, I thought I would create this welcome email for you because this is one that we use for our agency, right? So nice and simple, and I'll break it down for you. Hi, client's name. Okay, we are delighted to officially welcome you to, and then just add your agency name. Our team is fully committed to delivering outstanding results and ensuring a seamless experience for you. Now, that's where I stop the waffle. A lot of people, when they do an onboarding email, they will just continue the waffle, right? We're super excited, blah, blah, blah. I just get straight into it. So next steps and onboarding process. To ensure a smooth start, please review the following actions, right? Now, I do 3 things. First one, kickoff call. Second one, onboarding form. Third one, Slack communication. Now, what you'll find is onboarding forms are a little bit controversial. Some people like them, some people hate them. I'm a big fan of an onboarding form because I think it gives you another asset to send to a client, and it makes them feel like they're a little bit more appreciated once they've handed over their cash. You don't have to do it. You can do it if you want to. So for the kickoff call, just literally schedule a strategy session, insert a booking link. You can have a nice booking link, and I will show you exactly how to do that in a second. And onboarding form, I've even built you an onboarding form that you guys can copy and paste as well, right? And then Slack communication. Now, a lot of people prefer WhatsApp. I prefer Slack when I'm talking to corporate businesses. I honestly recommend it, and I'll break down Slack communication for you as well in a second. And then I always say our commitment to you, right? It just makes them feel reciprocated in terms of the value exchange for money. If you were on the call last Tuesday, you will understand what I mean. We've got to make sure that we're exchanging value for money. So our commitment is strategic growth, so a data-driven approach to maximize your marketing return on investment. This obviously depends on your service. Transparent communication. This seems to be a big issue in the marketing space, guys, right? So if you are not transparent with your communication, one, you're going to lose the opportunity for customer success and upsells. But 2, you're going to have a shit retention rate and your LTV is going to suck, right? Communication is really, really important. And then dedicated support. Now, dedicated support, you can say a team, or you're going to be able to do it, and you can mention like A/B testing if you want, or measuring success with data, whatever you want. Then I'll just put, if you have any questions, please feel free, right? Simple as that. That's your welcome email. Feel free to steal that from me. You can create your own ones. They're not hard. I then do the booking link, Calendly, onboarding from Google Forms. This is what I put on my onboarding form right now. With the onboarding form, I don't go into incredible detail, okay? Now, this is for SMMA, this onboarding form. It does vary based on the service that I'm providing. So if you are, offering alternative services, you might do a build and release, you might do infrastructure, whatever, you just tailor the onboarding form style. Right? So thank you for choosing our agency to ensure a smooth onboarding process and deliver the best possible results. Please fill out the form with as much detail as possible. So business name, website name. If you don't want to do that because you just had a conversation with them, fine. The reason why I do business name and website name is so that when we go on to our kind of forms backend on Google, we can just filter by that specific person, right? It keeps it nice and clean. What's your main goal with our marketing service? Now, this kind of acts like the discovery stage in the sales process, because one thing you'll realize is when you're on a sales call with a client, you might have discussed their goals, right? Well, you should have done if you listened to me, right? Their goal actually might differentiate based on what you think it was in the sales process. So the reason why I have this question here, what is your main goal with our marketing service, is because then I can really pinpoint what is it that's actually going to make that customer happy. If I know exactly what's going to make them happy, that's what I'm going to prioritize first. For example, it could be a specific CPL that they want to achieve. It could be a specific revenue target. It could be improving their nurturing system. It could be the recruitment side of things, even though you didn't even sell that, right? Try and get their goal. Then best describe your ICP, ideal customer, whatever it is. The reason why I do this as well is because as agency owners, we always do some ICP research, right? Like it's something that I teach you guys, like breaking down the target avatar. Seb actually showed his lovely document last week as to how you do it, but we can get this wrong, okay? And even though we're specialists, we can get this wrong for that individual business. So we try and get the business to answer these questions so that we get enough information, okay? So your ICP that you think for that client needs to be confirmed by that client. I know that was a mouthful there, but let them answer their ICP. Now, they might be wrong on their own ICP as well, but this is just a chance for you to align with the research that you've done before you onboard this business. What is your target CPL or CPA? What challenges have you faced with advertising? Now, if they have ran marketing before, whether that's fucking SEO or lead generation or something like that, we can get to the point as to what they've like really struggled with. And again, this is going to help you identify the roadblocks before you begin the work. Facebook manager, business manager ID, Instagram username. Do they have a Facebook pixel installed if you're running it to a landing page? What is their monthly ad spend budget? I like to reconfirm their monthly ad spend budget, okay? Because sometimes in the discovery stage, they might be keen on telling me a specific amount, and then it can completely fucking change during our agreement. And if you don't have that outlined in the contract, and then all of a sudden they go, oh yeah, we really want to just start on like $5 a day, but you've promised them X amount, you've just shot yourself in the foot. So this Google form is just going to help you if you don't have that outlined in your contract, which you should, by the way. Now, is there anything else that we should know to better serve your business? There is one last thing that you can add on this, but I actually do it on the call, which you'll see in a second, is basically like brand identity files. Now, this really does depend on your ICP. So your client that you're going to be signing, if you are working with a corporate company, they will have a specific brand identity or brand guideline that they need to follow. And you can get that on the onboarding call so that you can best serve that business, right? So that is just one thing that I want to have as a caveat there. So hopefully that gives you guys a bit of an insight in terms of the onboarding form, the welcome email, and scheduling the call. I'm then going to go on to the Slack channel setup as well. But before I do that, does anyone have any questions at this point? Anyone, any questions? Are we good to go? Is it making sense? Cool. Fantastic. Right. Slack channel setup. I am basically taking credit for Zub's work, and I'm pretty sure Zub paid someone to set this up. So on the Slack channel setup, this is not something that I have done personally, but I do use it, which is great. Now, it obviously depends on which business I'm using it for. The reason why we do Slack is it just gives that professional image, but also it's a value exchange as well. Okay, so think about this. If you're working with a brand new client, you want to try and give them as much as possible. Okay, not just a WhatsApp, looking forward to working with you. Try and give them a Slack channel setup as well, right? It costs I think it's $6 per user. Like, it's super cheap. Now we have an updates channel. So this is client updates. This is where you share important client news, changes, updates, whatever. I do actually have a general chat as well, which is not on here, probably because I forgot to add it on Miro. So I have like a general chat. It's just where you can chat bullshit, do whatever you need to do, even send memes, it doesn't matter. Client feedback. So this is where we store and discuss feedback from our clients, okay? This is really important as well, because we can actually revert back to it and we can start to see that progression with that specific client. Client support, any support that is like urgent. So this is going to help us prioritize. When we see that notification, we're like, okay, we need to jump straight into this, right? Now, some of you guys will realize this. Some clients don't give a shit about this sort of stuff. Some clients are really needy. They really like this stuff, and they will not stop bothering you on Slack. So again, when you get to the point where you have too many clients, you can actually outsource this bullshit for someone to respond to your clients or certain channels that they respond to under your name. Okay. Campaign management. So obviously depends on your service. For campaign management, you can do some performance reports, posting and reviewing analytics KPIs. The reason why we do this, boys, is because a lot of people love to do weekly or bi-weekly catch-ups. And by the way, I am also guilty of that with my clients as well. And it really does depend on the client. You want to try and negate that as you scale, because it's not all the time there's going to be a significant change. Two, it's sometimes really awkward if you have not delivered the results, right? And you have to face it like a man. And I am happy to tell you that this will happen in your career as an agency owner, right? It has happened to me. A lot of people won't admit it. I personally don't give a shit what I say. There are some clients that I've not delivered for. I've always tried to do my best to deliver for them. But if you can avoid that weekly call, that's great. So use the Slack channel to give them the reviews, the analytics, the KPIs, everything, all of the insights, and then the testing insights as well. So actually documenting what you're doing. Some of the times when you're working with clients and they don't see the return straight away, they can't see the work that you're doing on the back end. And then you have a conversation with them and they go, what am I paying you for? Right? I've been in that situation again. Okay. I've been in all these fucking situations. So let me be honest with you. The best way to do it is document everything that you're doing for that client. Everything. Even if it's a screenshot Sunday of the back end that you've changed one thing, or you've got different copy, different creators, put them in the chat. That communication is going to consistently build that rapport with that existing ongoing client. The more rapport we build, the more chance we've got of upselling them, the more chance we have in keeping them longer and longer. Now, I have had clients come back to me, even though I have not delivered as much as I probably should have for that client, and they've come back months after, okay? Literally months after they've come back, because they really respect the communication. So the communication is really important, and that is something that we should all be working on as much as possible, okay? So feel free to use the Slack channel setup. Like I said, I am not one that sets these up, so I couldn't tell you exactly how. I'm pretty sure it's pretty simple, but I'm sure there's loads of guys. I saw Johnny just join the call, Sev joined the call. I'm pretty sure Marcel's probably done this as well. Setting up Slack, make sure you do that for your clients. Then we go to on the call. Now, I like to focus on 3 pillars on the call, okay? When you're onboarding a client, we need to actually get everything that we need from that existing client, or that new client, sorry, on the onboarding call. Now, the first one is actually building on the existing rapport again. And the amount of times I'll say rapport is because it is genuinely the most important thing for you when we're focusing on LTV of a client. So when we build on the existing rapport, what are we doing? So we're going to come to the call with existing competitor information and ICP detail. What can we give them that is going to make them feel more comfortable with making that payment that they've already made and working with you as an agency? Super important. This doesn't take too much time. Give as much detail as possible. Now, I'm just going to go straight back to my last caveat. Do not start any of this work without securing any payment, because we are not a charity. Okay, we are a business. Now, show that you understand their marketing, their funnel, their lead conversion system. Show that you've actually done some real research into their business once you've started working with them, or once you're on this onboarding call, right? Go above and beyond. The first 24 hours is the most important for that specific customer. That is when you're going to build the most relationship, and that is when you're going to give yourself the most potential to sell the shit out of them in the future. So super important to focus on that. And if necessary, go through the form answers that we discussed up here, okay? The reason why I say if necessary, if the conversation's flowing and you don't need to revert back to these, then fine. If you are on with a bit of a Karen, okay, and you feel like you need just a little bit more structure, just go through the form answers again, okay? They've filled out the form for you. They've done the work for you. So really important to do that. Then the second pillar, this is more on strategy development. So this is where you're going to kind of agree on KPIs, right? CTR, ROAS, all of the key metrics that we're trying to agree on. Now, this does depend on your service. If you're doing email marketing, it might be fucking open rates, reply rates, whatever it is. This is where you're going to agree on some deliverables, okay? Because you might have promised some deliverables in the sales call, and once you've closed them and you've got them onboarded and you've done some additional research after that payment's been secured, you might have to scale back the KPIs slightly, okay? Because you might have overpromised a little bit too much on a sales call, which we have all done, by the way. And if you're sitting here saying that you've never done that, then I don't believe you, okay? So if you have overpromised slightly, just make sure you're aligned on your KPIs so that you can get them up to full speed. Now, if you want to, identify past ad performance. And the reason why I say if you want to is because I'm not saying you need to go and look at their back end, but have a conversation about what didn't work for them. And even if they filled out that form and they've told you exactly what didn't work, go deeper, go into more detail. The more detail we get, the easier it's going to be for us when it comes to fulfillment, okay? Now, the second to last point here is aligning with brand guidelines, and I spoke about that on the onboarding form. Really important that you understand this. Once you're working with bigger companies, they will have specific brand guidelines when you're doing marketing. So make sure you ask this question, because the last thing you want to do is spend a bunch of time building creatives, building copy, and then they go, we can't use that. Sorry, right? They have specific SLAs in place to make sure that you do these things correctly. And then agree on regular communication as well. Now, remember what I said. Don't commit to weekly or bi-weekly calls if you can. Agree the communication on Slack. That's going to save you time. And then just have a monthly catch-up call. You might find that that client is super needy. And the ones that are super needy are normally pretty broke. So that means I want you to try and change your ICP slightly so that you're focusing on bigger clients with more cash. Because what you'll realize is they'll give you money and then they'll leave you to do your job effectively. Matty, I will come back to your question. Just let me finish this third pillar and then I will come back to you, bro. Account access and setup. So it's where we need to request the business manager, add accounts, depends on the service. Again, you might need domains, whatever it is, right? Just make sure you don't jump off that call without requesting the necessary information that you need to do that fulfillment. Because otherwise, what's going to happen, you're going to do this fucking onboarding call, and then you're going to realize you need all of this information. Same with any images, videos, whatever it is, any brand material. We got to get this on the onboarding call because otherwise we look shit. Now, if you got it on the onboarding form, then we're good to go. But make sure that you are actually cross-referencing and getting all of these pillars done when it comes to your onboarding call. So, Mattia, you had a question, my man.
Yeah, I was going to ask, so in regard to ICP, right, that's one thing I've been struggling recently with, because mainly I do cold calling for my outreach, and I typically just go on Google Maps and just find a bunch of personal trainers or fitness companies to cold call. However, a lot of them, what I find with, like, when I get to demo calls and closing calls, is that a lot of them can't afford it. So how would you then go about finding a better lead list? Is it change from Google Maps?
I wouldn't necessarily find a better lead list. If you're struggling with that and it seems like an industry problem, you need to change your niche, bro. Have a look at a slightly different target avatar that has got more revenue. If you're targeting businesses that are doing like 10K a month, then they're unlikely to give you 20% of their monthly revenue as a retainer, or even 10%, right? So think about revenue, think about your target avatar, and really break that down. If you were on the last call, I did actually kind of go into that a little bit. And if you weren't, I have posted it on my YouTube, so check that out.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Awesome. No worries. No worries. Okay, boys. So does that make sense in terms of the external onboarding process? So just to kind of realign really quickly, and then we'll visit any questions. Contract payment. Okay. Client has verbally agreed. Closed. Sweet. Okay. At this point, we do not do any work until cash has been collected. And if you've got contracts, get them signed, right? If you don't have contracts, don't stress. Cool. Just get the cash in. You do not start any work. You then hit them with this welcome email. Nice and easy. Booking link. Okay. Give them the onboarding form. You can copy this onboarding form. You're welcome. No worries. Right. And then Slack channel setup. You can copy our Slack channel setup as well. It's quite funny though, because if you look at this Slack channel setup and you speak to guys like Johnny and Seb and you ask for their Slack channel, it will probably be like 5 million times better than this. So if you do want a better Slack channel setup, go and speak to someone much more technical than me. Personally, this works. It just gets the shit done, right? I do have a general chat on that though, so as well, just have that in there. We just have 3 channels, okay? I thought it was going to be techie as. All right, cool. And then on the call, focus on the 3 pillars, right? Build on the existing rapport, strategy development, and make sure you get access to all of the accounts that you need. All right, cool.